Good morning, gentlemen. We want to thank God for a wonderful night's rest. Good to see you again this morning. If you not consider it too much, may I humbly request that we commit to this program again to God's hand. And so if you do not mind, shall we pray, please? We want to commit to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Shall we pray? Father, in the name of Jesus, we are grateful unto you. We thank you for your love and faithfulness. Thank you for another brand new day. Thank you for life. Thank you for health. Thank you for yesterday. Thank you for this final day before departure. We ask, Lord, that as you have been with us from the beginning, you see us through to the end in the name of Jesus. Thank you for a beautiful day. We receive your thanksgiving and hand it over unto you. Bless us therein and make what we have to accomplish faster with your help. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank you very much. Please, if you do not mind, can you just say welcome to your neighbor? Good morning. Ekaro Kedu. Please, as we do that very quickly, there are one or two of us that needs to do one or two things. Please, our tags are ready at the back. If you do not have your tag yet, please, you can pick the registration stand. Equally, we have some who probably are not aware the procedure of going for the registration. There is a registration desk right by the entrance in the middle of the hall. Please, if you have not registered yet, kindly do so. And all of us are free to pick our invitation cards for the Redeemers University convocation ceremony. Again, I wish you a wonderful day. Good morning. God bless you. As I hand over to the chairman of the Avcnu for one other information of urgent attention. Thank you very much. Can we put our hands together for ourselves? Thank God we are alive. Only the living can do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Apologies. We should have started now, but our brethren from the state universities are still having their meeting. Are they back now? I've just talked to them to hurry up. But we can't start without them. Otherwise, you know, we are all brethren. In the meantime, we have somebody in the house. One day, my wife came back to tell me that, you know, it's asking enough. And we found somebody all the way from Abuja who will tell us how to manage stress as leaders. And back pain, this, that, and so on. So yesterday he flew down from Abuja, and our program is so tight. However, while we wait for our state brethren, is that a good language? Our state brethren. I hope they will come in quite soon. Can you come up, introduce yourself, and tell us how to manage stress, how to do things. You know, it's a total package. I know you have a wife who manages you, like my wife manages me, not just giving me food. She massages me. Is that? And so, please, we have somebody in the house, because you see, it's a total package. Leadership is a total package. And so, how do we manage ourselves? Thank you. We have somebody in the house. Please introduce yourself. Make it brief.
Okay, sir. Okay. Good morning, my mommies and daddies in the house. I count it a great honor and privilege to stand before you this morning. As you have been told, I'm here to just talk briefly on how you can manage stress. And the first thing to start with without taking time, because I have short time with you. Please, can you just be on our faith place? I crave your indulgence to just be on your faith place quickly. Let's start with that area of managing our stress quickly, because I know you've been here since yesterday. Just to stretch your body a little bit. That can help you, you know, to take off the stress and the tension. I'm ready for action today. So anything you see me doing, just do along with me. Let us to catch some fun. Are we ready? Mommies and daddies, are you ready? Tell somebody by your side, say, are you ready for action? Okay, now let's go. Okay, let's go that way. Okay. Stretch your hand. To the left. To the right. To the left. To the right. To the left. To the right. To the left. And to the right. To the left. To the right. Aha. That way. Aha. To the left. To the right. To the left. To the right. To the left. To the right. To the left. That way. Above your head. That way. Aha. Good. That's one way. Aha. Now, like this way. Hold your waist and strike. Hold your waist and strike. Hold your waist and strike. To the left. Aha. To the right. Aha. To the left. Aha. To the right. Aha. To the left. Aha. To the right. To the left. Aha. To the left. Aha. To the left. Aha. To the left. Now hold your waist too now. Hold your waist. Everything in your waist can be over. Everything can be knocked off. Hold your waist. That is it. Go. That's it. To the left. To the right. To the left. To the right. To the right. To the right. Can we have music? Aha. That's it. Now bend lower. And right. 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 Okay. Please can you clap for yourself? God bless you, sirs and ma'am. Please can you take your seat? I was actually playing the music here for us to dance to, but the music was not too loud. I couldn't connect with the technical. For more of that, after this program, at the back or outside there, you can get a copy of this. You get a lot of exercise that you can do, even in the office, to keep yourself fit. Or you're already having pot belly, stressed up at the front. Mommy is pregnant, daddy is also what? Pregnant. You can do something about it with this to help your tummy to come to shape. The detailed exercise you can do to help your tummy to also adjust in the right way. You can get this video. It's like a mini gym. Many of us, because of our busy schedule, you register in the gym, you don't even have time to go to the gym. This can be a mini gym in the house that you and daddy or mommy or children can dance to and exercise your body. And all the what for women that have a flabby tummy after 2 or 3 deliveries, this can also help out a lot. Or you have this flabbiness at your arm side. This can also help out. It contains detailed exercises you can do at home and also some health questions answered Then also we have another video that contains some of the laws that you have been practicing that have been putting stress on our system for a long while. This video, we call it destructive impact of negative laws on our health. There's some things we have been doing that has been stressing us up. You can get such information from this. So let me start with this. Every of us, we know what stress is. I don't want to define stress or go into the issue of definition and types of stress we have. Because of the short term we have. I just want to undo the solution. What are the solutions to stress? What are the things we can do to undo stress in our system, in our body? Number one thing, we need to undo stress internally. Then secondly, we need to also undo stress externally. We need to cultivate the habit of developing a smiling body. A smiling body. Many of us, our body is already frowning at us because of the way we have been using our body over the years. It's good to be diligent, yes. Because of the nature of our work, we have to be diligent. But notwithstanding, you still need to take care of your body so that your body can take you far in life and achieve much more for your institution, for the Nigeria, for your family, and for the entire world. But in doing this, please don't forget to take care of your body. that is the instrument you have to do much more, not to break down halfway. So you can finish well and finish strong. So you need to manage stress internally and also stress externally. How do you manage stress internally? Number one, I talk of what I call law of double sorting. What did I say? Please, can you shout it louder? Law of double sorting. What does it say? That when you prepare your meal, you put salt in the food substance as well as in the stew. It's a wrong law. That's what I call the negative laws that we have been practicing over the years, that have been killing us instrumentally, that have been affecting our health. And that's why many people are nursing high blood pressure today, because of the way they have been taking their meal. It's not helpful. It's not helpful. And that's why you need to get a copy of this video. It's our latest video, the book titled Destructive Impact of Negative Law, on your health. Destructive Impact of Negative Laws on your health. So the book, we have it in hard copy and also in the video format. For many of us that are so busy to read the book, you can slot in the video and you still get the same thing that is in the book. Yeah, even much more from the video. So you can get a copy of the video so I can know some of the laws I've been practicing at home, in your office, that have been killing your health unknowingly, unconsciously, that have been putting stress in your body. So henceforth, when we are preparing our meal, thank God we have our wife around. Mom is in the house. Can you just wave your hands? Oh, that's the first ladies. God bless you. Good. Please, next time you are preparing meal for daddy, especially when you're preparing white rice, you don't need to put salt in the white rice. Limit your salt in the stew or the sauce alone. Why? Over time, it has been discovered that when you put salt in your stew and still put it in the white rice, you are increasing your salt intake per time. And the salt available in the market is not the right one that should be taken. It should be the brown salt. But the salt available now is the polished salt that you are taking. And it's highly concentrated. So that is why when you are putting salt in the stew and also putting it in the white rice, you are increasing the salt intake per time. So henceforth, moments in the house, please help our daddy. Help your children. What a right culture of preparation of food, so that they will not put in more stress internally into their system. The same thing goes for your tubers. You are preparing your yam, cocoyam, ice potato, sweet potatoes. You don't need salt in them. Why? Because the salt is already where? In the stew or in the sauce you are taking it with. So why putting salt again in the tubers? Ma, please, ma. Mommy, please. When you prepare swallow for daddy, for instance, I don't know the one daddy loves so much. Is it panadiam or eba? Which one, ma?
Well, all.
Do you normally put salt in those swallow?
No.
Why?
He doesn't chew.
He doesn't chew.
He swallows.
Some people choose to swallow before they can swallow it.
Not many people.
But does daddy still appreciate your preparation, man?
Yes.
So why don't you put salt in there, man?
That's what I'm saying, because he's not going to chew it, so he swallows it.
Mommy, do you put salt in your swallow? Mommy, when you prepare amala for daddy, do you put salt there or panadiam?
No.
Why?
I think it's how we grew up knowing it.
God bless. That's the answer I've been looking for. Please, can you just clap for her? That's the answer I've been looking for. You know, the Holy Scripture says that train up a child in the way he or she should grow. When it's what grown up, he will never depart from it. You saw your mother doing it that way, and that's why you carry on along that line. And if we are preparing our soul that way and we still enjoy it, then why are we now putting salt in our white rice? Unless you are preparing jollof rice or fried rice, that's what it's taken. But if it's white rice, no more salt in it. Am I making sense? Is it too hard for us? You shall know the truth, and the truth that you know and apply. We do what? We set you free. That truth, that's what I'm passing across to you today, and it will help you a whole lot. So please, I'm pleading with us, help us to reduce the rate of high blood pressure in our society. It's killing a lot of people, leading to struggling to a lot of health conditions. So please, when you're with anyone, don't put salt there again. Then also, lastly, how do you manage stress externally? We come up with a program called body servicing therapy. Body what? Servicing therapy. And that will be helping a lot of people today. You can invite us to your campus or to your university to come around, to have it with your lecturers, have it with you, and also with madam as well. We help you to put you in right shape. Many people that have been suffering from insomnia, that have been on Valium, on Lexotan for years. After doing it to the glory of God, that condition is terminated. They'll be having what? Migraine, headache, a lot of conditions like that. Back pain. In fact, there was a woman that was built for surgery for back pain. After going through the body service therapy, that was negated, was cancelled. So that body service has been helping a lot of people. And you know the stress that academicians will go through in preparing lectures, in preparing this and preparing that. So please, we want to see how we can partner with universities, so that we can come to the campus and see how we can be of help to your lecturer to help them manage stress that they are going through in their body, pains in their neck, pains in their waist. Many of us, we are sitting down now, we are putting stress on our back. The way we are sitting down, we are not sitting down well. The right position of sitting down, let me quickly show you an example quickly. When you're sitting down, please, at work, make sure that what? You always make sure that your buttocks touch the backrest of your chair. Don't sit down this way. This is how many of us sit down when we are tired. But you are not resting. Your back is not resting. Your back is under tremendous pain, shouting for everybody, say, Oga, please, Oga, please. And you don't know. But the only way to express themselves is when they give you pain. Say, this pain is painful, it's painful. That is when you know that you have been doing the wrong thing, putting stress on your body. But the body says, oh, I can see no. God bless you, I can see my Justin. Thank you so much. That is what, let's celebrate him, let's celebrate him. That is what, getting knowledge and applying it instantaneously. Can we celebrate him once again? That is it. I'll get the knowledge that you get will set you free from some headaches that you do not even come your way at all. Just having that right knowledge. You can invite us to your campus to come and teach your lecturers some of these basic things that can help them to prevent pain from their neck, from their spine, from their joints. How they should sit in class, sit when they're marking their papers, when they're doing desk work, how they should comport themselves in lecture room, and many of those things. Knowledge is so powerful. Knowledge is power. So it will go a long way to help us a great day. I believe you have gained something this morning. Lastly, let me cap it off with this story. A man was in the habit of always losing his pen. Thank God we are academicians here. Always losing his pen. So he was worried. Anytime he bought his pen, just give him 2-3 days, the pen is lost. So he went to a counselor and said, sir, please, can you help me find a solution to this problem of mine? I'm always in the habit of losing my pen. What is the solution? The man just laughed and said, man, it's a simple thing. Next time you go to the bookshop to get your pen, make sure you get the most expensive pen. He said, do you mean that's all? He said, that's all. And do you know, he was faithful, going to that bookshop, getting the pen, and 1 week went, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 3 months, the pen was still with him. He went to the same man and said, sir, what have you done to me? The pen I bought for 3 months now is still with me. It's not like me. It's not like me. The man just simply laughed. Said, do you know what I've done for you? To you? I've simply changed your orientation. I've added value to what you have been losing. Because it's so valuable, you got it what? Jealously. You don't want to misplace it because you know this is a treasure. Until you guard your head as well as a treasure, you can easily misplace it. Please, daddies in the house, the first ladies of different universities, I'm appealing to you, help our daddy to guard their health. Help them to guard their health. Help your children to also guard their health jealously. Add value to that health, because that is the health that will help them to carry on the work and achieve so much more. I believe with this freebirth of mine, I'll be able to convince you that yes, you can knock out stress in your life and become fitter, healthier, and become productive. Once again, thank you so much. You can get the materials. You are back there, the videos. You can get it at the usher stand there. Thank you so much. God bless you. I appreciate the effort. Thank you, sir.
Well, we want to thank. What's your name again? Felix Baba Wemimo. I want to thank him. We just wanted him to take, while we're waiting for our state brethren. Well, he has taken, and I think it's good for us. Please, he says the video and the books are there for us. I remember we went to one trip in Germany, and I won't mention his name. One Vice Chancellor did not enjoy himself. He was just always in pain. Even when he was sitting in the first business class, he was in pains. And these are the things we need to do. Please invite him, and the spouses can also invite him for more talks. It seems it's loaded, and I need to hear this too. But we need to start now. Let us apologize for starting late. universities were having a meeting, and we also have rearranged ourselves a little. Today is well packaged, and it's important for us to do so many things. First, I would want to apologize for what happened yesterday. This is our video, this one here. Let me get just upstairs. This screen is our video, as well as these ones. When we're making presentations, we use these two screens here. They are not ordinary screens. They are computerized screens. They are the latest technology in town, and we have this in all our classrooms. It is for teaching. It is e-board. It's completely computerized. And yesterday when we used them all along. But yesterday when I was presenting, I looked back and it was blank. And I was saying, what's happening? I learned maybe rats went there. The JAM registrar is not here. I will have asked him, did he bring his snakes to Redeemers University campus? Because the screens this screen is not for presentation, because it will not be sharp enough. Yesterday we had to juggle between, if you see it, pictures and presentation. It is these two screens. So please, whoever the JAM registrar is, the magic he performed in JAM office, let him come and perform here, because I don't know what happened just overnight. So please, that is why we have brought this and this. We do not use projectors in Redeemers University. We use smart boards, and the smart boards are computerized. You can write with your finger, and you can synchronize with our tabs and so on. That's what we use in all our classrooms. So again, we are sorry for whatever happens. Whoever knows how to charm rats or whatever, please come on board. This morning we are here to have a joint session before the spouses will have their own session, and there's a little change. I thank God for Professor Bamiro, A.O. Bamiro. Yesterday, the JAM registrar talked about him, so you know the kind of person he is already. So it's loaded and it's coming on board. However, we want Professor Anigbogo to take us on leadership. Leadership is all about us. It's about our women, ourselves, our men, VC, whoever. And so we're having a joint session on leadership, after which we may have the others going. Our spouses have not finished what they were doing yesterday. So I want you to please welcome him. He has been given seminars across the nation and even across the world. He has gone to Asia and other places, and he talks about leadership, on transformation. The prayer of our ES, our boss, is that we'll be revitalized. So he wants to talk about how to revitalize that in the university system, and by implication, the whole world. Please join us as we I'm asked to abort the flight. Please, just a moment. I need to consult the ears. need to adjust our program a little. I'm sorry about this. The ES will have to leave. However, he also wants to listen to the leadership for 30 minutes. And then our professor if I don't call him professor, Noel Saliu, I will lose all my accreditation. So Professor, that's Dr. Saliu, Director of Accreditation, will also present, also 30 minutes. And then the ES will leave. So we want him to leave at most by 11. So therefore, join us to welcome our own DG, Professor Vincent Anigbogo. Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning, everyone. Because of my limited time, I beg to stand on the existing protocol, but I want to say that it has been a pleasure being with you since yesterday, and I must admit that when I left here, I don't know about you, my heart was very heavy of the issues that face us. So it's my pleasure to speak on the topic, leadership and the quest for transformation of our ivory towers. Leadership and the quest for the transformation of our ivory towers. You have to help me, okay? Let me just say a few words about the Institute for National Transformation. I am a chemist by training. I trained in America. I taught in America for 20 years, and I lived there for 30 years. I'm an American citizen, actually, but the burden of the issues in Nigeria, in Africa, made me to resign my position and come back to establish this institute to see if there's anything we can do to begin to reverse the current trend. And one thing I can tell you that I discovered in all my years of teaching chemistry, nobody taught me leadership. I thought I knew leadership. Because you have a PhD in your professional area does not mean you understand leadership. And so over the years, especially the last 15 years, I've devoted myself to understanding leadership. I came back in 2006, as I said, after living in America for 30 years, and started this institute on my own initiative. This is not working, please. Hello? It's not working. Okay, it is. And please, can I stand here so you can see me? Okay, it's working now. We've launched the Institute in 8 nations, and here is the launching of the Institute in 2008 by President Museveni in Uganda. The Institute has grown. We have trained over 500 leaders, and some of our leaders actually occupy prominent positions, not just in Uganda, but also in Rwanda. And because of our work in Uganda, actually they've awarded me residency for life. So if this Nigeria doesn't work well, I have another option, but I'm not going anywhere. Okay. We've done training for the principal officers of many East African universities, Makerere University, Malawi University, Sokoine University of Agriculture in Tanzania. We've done a lot of training for them. I've been a guest speaker and guest of many presidents, especially in East Africa. This is my invitation by His Excellency Kagame. Here in Nigeria, I've also done training for example, National Planning Commission. This training actually was for 5 days, very intense, running from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. We've also done training for, this is actually a training I did for the top naval officers for 2 days. And recently, again, they have invited us. We've also done training for Navy. Now, what's amazing is that the training is so intense that some of the officers will come to me and say, Prof, are you sure you're a civilian? I said, well, that's the level of vigor that is required to raise the kind of training, leaders that we need in this season. Okay, I don't know. Now, I think what brought me here and why the VC felt I should speak with you is that exactly a year ago, my team and I were here at RUN, and we ran a very intensive 3-day program. And I think he felt that he had, actually when I called him and I asked him, how was the training? He said to me, Prof, it was a watershed moment for us. When we meet and discuss, there are certain behavior that people will exhibit, and the question is, were you not at the training? So thank you, VC sir, for this privilege and this opportunity. Now, let's talk about leadership. I will speak briefly about really one slide of what I heard are the issues. And ES, the Executive Secretary, thank you for that powerful presentation. But I was quite overwhelming. Hearing all we intend to achieve by the year 2023. Now, what are the issues I heard? From the 2018-2023 blueprint, Professor Bukola showed us that there's what? The gap analysis, so huge mountains to climb to attain that. Not that it's not attainable, but let me be honest with you, we have work ahead of us. And, well, let me reserve my comments. We need to build personal capacities. We need to build institutional capacities. And number 3, we have to pray that the economy will improve. Hearing His Excellency yesterday, and to say that the reason the state is not funding the mentioned university is economics, not politics. Now, in addition to the issues facing the universities, there are other emerging trends we must address. And so I call this emerging global trends. In 2008, U.S. intelligence community put out a report. What is the report? They are projecting what the world will look like by the year 2025. By the way, the internet address is there. You can copy it and download the report. Since then, there's been a 2030 and 2035 report. But let me show you, according to this report, by the way, the world response to this global trend was extraordinary. The report has been translated into several languages. It has been debated in government offices and discussed even in universities. Let me ask us here, how many of you have seen this report, downloaded it, and discussed it with students? Can I see a show of hands? Can I see a show of hands? An intelligent report by the U.S. intelligence community of what the world will look like by the year 2025. How many of you have seen that report? How can you raise students if you don't have a clear picture of the future? Are you raising them to get jobs, or are you raising them to build a nation? And is it not the future you see that you transmit to them? The report showed 7 critical factors that every nation must prepare for. Number 1, there's going to be a shift in global power. U.S. is no longer the superpower, the only superpower. There are other epicenters coming up. Here's the question: with which center does Nigeria align with? How do you prepare your students to know which to connect to? Number two, there's going to be a shift in national wealth. Of course, China is catching up with US, and very soon it's being discussed the dollar may no longer be the international currency. What are the implications, and how are we preparing our students to deal with that future? Which language must we now include? We are speaking English, but tomorrow it may be irrelevant. Who has considered that? Number three, population explosion. In fact, let me just say a few things about this particular trend. The world population is currently 7.6 billion and will increase by 1.2 billion to 8.1 billion by the year 2025. And about 40% of that increase will come from Africa. And less than 3% of growth will occur in the Western world, which means the rest of the world will have to come to Africa to import youth that will work for them. Here's the question: will they import them raw, or will they import finished products? And whoever develops them, to them they will give their loyalty. Let me move on. They prepare ahead of time to avert the disaster. I'm sorry to say, a tree is known by the fruit it bears, not by the title you carry. So what is the nature of the leaders we must produce to counter this problem? I'm using Singapore as a model. It's not the only model. There are other models. Singapore in 1965 exhibited the same socio-economic problems that Nigeria is facing today. What are they? Poverty, unemployment, no foreign investment, poor education institutions, poor health institutions, poor housing. Everything we are suffering today in Nigeria, Singapore had those issues. But a leadership came in 1965 and changed all that. What did they do? Number one, they decided by decision, they decided they would build a harmonious, peaceful, prosperous, multiracial, multi-religious, social, democratic society. By decision. We must live together. Otherwise, we would destroy each other. So the students we are raising must have this multi-religious tolerance. Where is the curriculum that will raise them and teach them? Number two, they decided, again, a decision to go from third world nation to first world within one generation. And guess what? They achieved it. Number three, they decided to build a nation led by leaders of integrity. They decided to create a society that is corruption-free. Decision. And they achieved it. Today, Singapore is literally corruption-free. Don't tell me that their intellectuals are better than you. Number four, they decided that they will build a disciplined, hard-working, highly educated, skilled, and productive people. They achieved it. Now, why am I mentioning this? You can't train students that have these attributes if they are not in you, because you can't give what you don't have. Because it's like people like leader. The students we are complaining about are actually a reflection of us. They decided that they would build a society that delay gratification to teach their people how to save. Today, Singaporeans save as much as 45% of their monthly salary. How much have we taught our people to save? Rather, we teach them to spray money. They decided to build a clean, green, and safe society, an environment that is safe and secure. Decision, 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 deliberateness. Not leaving things to happen by chance, but by design. They decided to build a partnership between government, labor, business, and education. Therefore, curriculum is never in sync with economic development. They produce what they need, not produce people that are totally irrelevant to the issues of the nation. And you give them a piece of paper that has no meaning. They decided to build a society where everybody is employed. They have achieved it. Today, Singapore not only have enough jobs to employ everybody, but they have to import additionally 13% of labor to meet their need. They decided to build a society that has affordable and high quality housing. 95% of Singaporeans have their own home. And it's been said that he that lives in a glass house does not what? Does not what? You protect it. Finally, justice for all. No impunity. Now look at Singapore ranking as of at least 2013, and it's still maintained. #1 seaport in the world. #4 financial center in the world. #1 airport. #1 education center. #1 airline. #1 e-government. The most desired place to visit. They have employment for all, quality housing for all, quality education for all, quality healthcare for all, quality infrastructure for all. They did that because they were purposeful, they were intentional. Here's my question: are we intentional in raising our students? Are we just developing curriculum just to get them to get a piece of paper? Now I'm concluding here. So what is leadership? In my humble view, there are three kinds of leaders. The first group are what I call traditional leaders. These people have their eyes on the past and they keep seeking to get back to the good old days. No clear picture of the future, just dwelling in the glory of the past. And sometimes, I'm sorry to say, when I sit amongst you, I keep hearing the good old IU days, Ife days, Nsuka days, when indeed the future is supposed to be greater than the present. The second type of leaders I've seen in academic setting are the conservative ones that keep their eyes in the present and they just want to maintain the status quo. I have worked so hard to finally become a vice chancellor. I'm going to sit back and enjoy it. Somebody said to me yesterday, once our intellectuals attain professorship, their productivity stops. Because it's more about title than contributing to a productive society. They start looking for government positions, and they end up with chieftaincy titles. That is the celebration of your professorship. But what are we looking for? Strategic leaders that have their eyes on the future and their hands feeling the pulse of the present with the benefit of what? Hindsight. So much knowledge resident in every one of you that if a think tank is created here, what would change Nigeria is present here. The question is, where is the will and the sacrifice? Lee Kuan Yew said, "It took my life to build Singapore. I gave it all. I did nothing else but devote my life. Therefore, the building of Singapore cost me my life." How many of you can say that? That in where I am is not just an opportunity to enrich yourself, but it's a privilege to build something new. I'm sorry that my lecture is different, but I'm speaking from my heart. So what is leadership? Leadership is the learning from the past, preparing for the future, and managing the present in the light of both the past and what? The future. So I come back to you. What picture of the future do you carry? That's actually the measure of your worth. As I conclude, in 2007, I visited Germany, a suburb of Munich, and a friend offered to take me to Regensburg, where they manufacture BMW. So for 3 hours, I was touring the BMW facility. What did I observe? Using 60,000 parts, 200 stations, 740 robots, they manufacture 1,160 cars a day. Amazing. Different brands. I don't know about you. How many of you here love BMW? It's called the ultimate what? The ultimate machine. But here's what caught my attention. At the onset, it's just a piece of metal that goes through a mold that gives the metal a BMW look. That piece of metal may not cost much, but once it goes through a BMW, it's called a BMW part. And you pay almost 200 times for a brand. Whether you like it or not, Nigeria has a mold. We have a brand through which when you and I go through it, question, does it add value or does it devalue us? We need to change that brand. Many a time, I'm a US citizen, so sometimes I would dress in my suit and tie. Once I come in and give them my passport, they will say, "Welcome home." But if I wear this and still give the same US passport, I'm sent through another line. What is the difference? The brand, the mold. Are you conscious of the mold that you're building? Are you deliberate about the mold we must build to develop our nation? Or is it going to be business as usual? Please allow me to wrap up now. I found out that a mindset is a mental paradigm that produces a way of viewing and relating to life. People that have a mindset of scarcity will always see scarcity even if the environment abounds with wealth. A mindset of abundance will see plenty even in lack. One of the things, as I read about Israel, is that they see wealth in scarcity. They see a forest in a desert. How do we train people that see a forest in a desert? And I hear His Excellency last night actually saying that many of our universities are hunter institutions. They just get money and chop. Nothing productive comes out of it. I don't know if it's true, but that's what I was hearing last night. All right, let me wrap up. Please. Now, there are two kinds of mindsets that I see. The hunting mindset. Who is a hunter? By the way, I plead with you, after this lecture, please don't call anybody a hunter. Because I noticed that your executive secretary, sir, after I finish this, people start calling themselves what? Hunter. Who is a hunter? Ability to locate prey, ability to pursue prey. They are so good in detecting animal, they can smell it. They can even tell from hoof print whether it's a male or female. Such people, they are very good in detecting budget when it's approved. And they know how to track the budget. Number 3, ability to deal a deadly blow. And number 4, ability to gather the kill. And once they gather the kill, they celebrate. Now, what's wrong with this mindset? They are only looking for finished product to consume. They are not thinking about creating anything new. They are looking throughout the forest, looking for a full-grown animal. Who grew the animal? Who raised the animal? They don't care. And I must say to you, this is a prevalent mindset in Africa. People that have a mindset of consumerism. Where's the other mindset? The farmer. Who is a farmer? Ability to nurture seeds, whether ideas, ability to contemplate, plan ahead, and ability to what? Innovate when there are obstacles. I think I heard last night His Excellency saying this is the mindset that universities should adopt. The mindset of creativity, productivity. I love his definition of wealth. He said poverty are people that look for money. Wealth are people that look for value to create. I wrote it down. I was touched. So we at the universities, are we creating values? If we are not, we are irrelevant. Who is a farmer? A nurturer that's constantly looking for a seed, an opportunity, not somebody looking for a finished product to consume. I submit to you that there are both hunter and farmer universities. Who is the hunter university? It doesn't matter how much money you dump into it. It's never seen as a seed. The money is seen as what? As food. Something to consume and wait for next year for another approval to come. But a farmer university, no matter how much you give them, they will find seed in it and nurture it so that one day they will become self-sufficient. Universities build their developmental paradigm after their organizational values. Those values will make them either a hunter university or a farmer university. Values ultimately dictate policies, priorities, and outcomes. Nations are ultimately rich or poor based on their what? Based on their what? Paradigm. Finally, let me just, I think I have just 2 more slides here. As I conclude, a few years ago, I ran into this book. It's called Towards a Third Generation University. I'm just curious, how many of you have seen that book? How many of you? Anyone? Yes, sir. How long ago? Last year. This book came out a long time ago. It's actually predicting the new type of universities that will change nations. Let me just summarize it. The book identifies 3 types of universities: first generation, second generation, and third generation. In first generation university, the focus is learning for knowledge's sake. In the second generation university, is learning for doing. But in the next generation, the third generation, is learning for what? For being. Learning for social impact. Learning for social relevance. Please go back. Thank you. Knowledge is produced in the first generation through propositional, in the second generation through practical, but in the third generation, learning is what? Experiential. Experiential. If you are still teaching theory, you are in the past. Let alone if you are still using materials that are totally outdated. If you don't shift to teaching your students experientially, you are contributing to Nigeria's problem. We need students that when they come out, if nobody hires them, they will convert the knowledge they have and start their own businesses. If they cannot do that, they are not taught well. What is the structure? In the first generation university, the structure, the academic setting is subject disciplines. In the second generation, it is crafts and skills. But in the third generation, departments are issue-based. No longer chemistry, no longer physics. The departments are problem-based. And you get disciplines from different areas to solve that problem. So departments are now multidisciplinary, not single discipline. I think I'm going to round up here. We have much to do. And I sincerely want to congratulate all of you. I know some of you personally. Professor Alata is here. Where are you, sir? He was my boss at Elizabeth University, where I serve on the governing council. And you join me, I appreciate him. Yes. Okay. I know many of you, and I know what you go through, the pressure. But I'm saying, if we're going to change Nigeria, the change must start here. How we do business, how we train students. It cannot be business as usual. And let me finally say this. If we don't take this serious, all our efforts most likely go in vain. May it not go in vain. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Prof. Vincent Anigbogu. Ladies and gentlemen, I know we've had our minds being provoked. There is this man that was said to have said, Marshall, he said life is measured not by its duration, but by its donation. What are we doing for the children in our care concerning their future? It's only the future we can picture that we can feature in. May God help us. It's now time very quickly to bring on for this presentation, just before the ES comes up, let's welcome Dr. N.B. Saliu, even though he should have been part of the panelists, but because it also has something to do with the ES immediately after now, that's why we are bringing him. Can we put our hands together to welcome him to the microphone?
Thank you very much. Please permit me to stand on the already established protocol. The presentation I'll be making this morning is titled Access and Quality Assurance. Thank you. Access and Quality Assurance. The title I was given by the local organizing committee was Access and Quality Control, but I decided to adopt Access and Quality Assurance because quality control has more to do with the industry and is product oriented, while quality assurance is more suitable for our discourse here for the university setting and is process oriented. That means every area that leads to the kind of quality we are looking for is very important. It is more about doing the right things the right way. So please pardon me to adopt this topic. Just a minute. Now, what is access generally? Sorry, I need to get this working. Hello? All right. Okay, thank you. Now, the issue of access is characterized by a high population of prospective candidates pursuing entry into relatively few higher education institutions. And the challenge of access is very common with us, just like it is in so many other climes. Can you please move to the next slide? And the predominant thing we see in our system is that the universities are oversubscribed, while other institutions like the polytechnics, colleges of education are undersubscribed. So what you have generally with the universities is the overstretch of facilities, and the converse is the case with the polytechnics and the colleges of education. Next slide, please. As of today, like the ES mentioned yesterday, we have a total of 164 universities. And this is very significant because if you look at the total number of private universities we have, we think by now we should be overcoming the problem of access, because we have more of the private universities than what we have of the federal and of the states. But today, we are still grappling with the challenge of access because the carrying capacity of all the private universities together are really not up to those of the fourth generation universities. So we need to give them time to also mature to the level where they can carry that much number of load like the federal or state universities are carrying at the moment. Please, next slide. I think this is just moving it backward. Next slide. Go on, next slide. Thank you, next. Let's look at addressing the challenge of access. Next one. Thank you. Now, if you look at the effects of access, generally what we see is the overstretch, like I said, of facilities, and we have over-enrollment in the universities. And then secondly, we have under-enrollment in polytechnics and that of colleges of education. We have the emergence of degree mills. People who don't have approval to award degrees are beginning to award degrees in different places. And they are being patronized because access is an issue. They also have the effect of pressure, or we have pressure of vice chancellors and principal officers and other staff of the universities during admission time. And of course, the preponderance of vices like cultism, examination malpractice, and the likes. Please move on to the next slide. How do we address these challenges? One sure way of doing this is to increase capacity of the universities. That means we must have enough staffing, must have enough physical facilities, enough infrastructure, enough funding to cater for more students. And then we can also address this challenge by establishing more universities. And of course, we take into consideration the requirements that you need to run effectively those universities and ensure that they are in place. And of course, the open and distance education or learning must also be put in place to address this issue of access. Not just any kind of ODL, but a well quality assured ODL. And if we like, if we can stop the demand for higher education. That's why I put question marks on that, because it is not within your control. We cannot really do that. So the practical ways we can address this challenge of access is to look at the first three. Next slide, please. Now, quickly on quality assurance. Overview of quality. Move on. Let's gallop on this fast. Quality is defined as the general standard or grade, and you find that it varies from place to place, from person to person. So if we want to have a unified kind of quality, a generally agreed term for quality, of course there will be documents that will spell out what the minimum standards are. It gives you what we can all agree to be quality. If you take a book on cookery, for instance, to prepare a good meal, for instance, let's say a good omelette, all you need to do, go to a cookery book, follow the procedures, and if your taste buds are okay, you come out with a very good and tasty omelette. The same way with quality. It varies from places to place, but then what we need to do is to agree on the standards. That's why you have in education setting minimum academic standards that define the quality. Assurance, on the other hand, is the act of giving confidence, the state of being certain, or the act of making certain that what you have prescribed is what you are getting. So you put those two together, quality and quality assurance, and assurance rather, you will get what is defined as quality assurance, which can be defined as a set of planned and systematic activities implemented to maximize probability that the minimum standards of quality in education are being attained. Generally, what I have in this slide is the various elements of quality assurance, which you are very much familiar with in the university system. We have the external examination system down to issues of ranking and accreditation and the likes. Go on, next slide. Quality assurance generally is seen from two major perspectives. That is the external and the internal. Whatever quality assurance activity you carry out that impacts on the university or the institution from an external source is referred to as the external, while the promotion, the maintenance of quality by the institution itself is referred to as internal quality assurance. Of course, we have the purpose for quality assurance, which are all stated on the slides. Provision of information to the public about the other parties on the quality and standards of the programs and the universities. Quality assurance also gives credibility to awards. By the time you know a program is well quality assured, the credibility of that program or the award, of course, is stepped up. And then it also engenders confidence in the purchasers that they are making worthwhile investments in programs they enroll for. It also ensures accountability, because in the process people are given resources to carry out certain tasks, and by the time you go through a well-entrenched quality assurance system, it assures you that there is accountability for funds that have been given. It also provides clarity on the programs and the purpose of programs generally, and eventually it enhances quality and standards. Now, access versus quality assurance, that's the main topic. There's a correlation between access and quality assurance. And every time you have challenges of access, one thing you notice, vice chancellors will bear witness to this: admission fever during admission process. Everybody, the vice chancellors are under intense pressure. It's unlike what it used to be, where people just submit their papers after their what is it called, WAEC, and they get admitted without knowing anybody. Now you must know somebody to get admitted. It's part of the effects of inadequate access in the system. We've talked about overstretching of our facilities and the issue of negative vices. So all this constitute the kind of pressures we have exerted on the institutions by virtue of the fact that there is inadequate access. And of course, if we don't yield to pressures, if we become resolute on the fact that we need to maintain quality, even in spite of inadequate access, then we can actually make the institutions stand their own despite the external pressures. And that is why whatever a challenge we are passing or going through, with respect to access, we must be ready to be resolute on the fact that quality must not be compromised. And there's also a correlation in the fact that where there is inadequate access, there is also the possibility that we'll be denying some prospective qualified candidates admission into the institutions. So all this also impact one way or the other on quality at the end of the day. Next slide, please. In conclusion, what are we talking about? The challenge of access will remain with us for some time. How do we carry on with this challenge despite the fact that a lot of people out there cannot gain entry into universities? Can we still maintain the state of our universities in the right frame of quality that it should be, despite the challenge of access? To overcome its negative effect, that is the challenge of access, we must continue to build very strong internal quality assurance mechanisms in the system. It's very key. Very key in the sense that if you don't have very strong internal quality assurance system within the universities, then issues like I'm not ready for accreditation will be there. I ask people, should I be ready for accreditation? Because accreditation is only coming to check what we have used to train students over the past 3 or 4 years, not the future. So should I really be talking about I'm not ready for accreditation? That's because the internal quality assurance system is not strong. When you don't have a strong internal quality assurance system, one of the things you also notice is the fact that you can be okay during external visitation. Immediately the external visitations are over, we go back to status quo because the internal quality assurance system is not strong. And that is why the NUC has actually been encouraging our universities to establish a directorate or a unit for quality assurance in the universities. Because the moment we partner together in these areas, we can effectively have a quality assurance, a quality assured Nigerian university system. So the message is that despite access challenge, let's ensure that our internal quality assurance system remains strong and formidable. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saliu. God bless you. We want to look at how we can maximize the time. We want to also go on time for tea break. And so let me, at this point, invite to the microphone for his presentation so that we can take it together. Welcome with me our erudite scholar, former VC of UI, and as we had yesterday, the teacher of governors, Professor Eo Bamiru. Let's put our hands together, please. He's going to be talking to us on realistic and alternative funding models and resource management for Nigerian universities. Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Well, time is not on our side, so I have to move. I hope. Well, I think most of our problems, they said, may have to do with funding. Although we know not all the problems can be assigned to funding. I think in inviting me to do this is just I think the first slide in there, I should move fast. If I move fast, I will talk to the side to make sure that the main message of the paper, is passed, through. Well, I hope this is working. I start with this slide, which shows, I said, the timeliness of this conference in terms of looking at funding and new funding model. This shows you the statistics or the profile of national strikes by ASU from 1993 to 2013. Of course, the strikes still go on. And you see a total of 201 weeks, which if you translate to sessions, you may be taking maybe equivalent to 5 sessions. All this talk of university being this or that, how can anything be achieved in an environment that we are seeing in there? It's not possible. And still more strikes coming. So I'm showing this, and in order to make sure that no more strikes and that we come up with stable academic calendar. Sorry. Okay. The Honorable Minister of Education set up this committee, the Babalaki Committee, to negotiate with the unions. The last agreement with the union was 2009. And we're asked to now look at the agreement of 2000 and renegotiate from the point of view of having sustainable system. Because everybody is worried about the instability in the academic calendar. We cannot continue like this. And of course, a lot has to do with funding. But what is wrong with the funding? And what model can we come up with towards achieving stability? That is what this is all about. So, sorry, this, okay. Now, during the process of, renegotiating with ASU, the Babalaki Committee, which I happen to be a member, we asked ourselves, how much really do we need in the federal university system? How much? Because people are not even costing things. So, okay, we managed to estimate. We're able to estimate to find that, okay, the federal universities, about 41 federal universities and so on and other things, they will be needing close to about 1.9 trillion per year in the budget. And that is for university. Then, because you're always talking of education, education is not university. There are other polytechnics, colleges of education, and so on. By the time we estimated, as shown in there, we came up with something close to 3 trillion that will be required. And then the question now is, what is the national budget? About 9 trillion. So how much are we asking to be allocated to education? Almost 33%. But we always talk about 26%, 26%. Fine. So we got that. Of course, the question we now have to ask ourselves, where will the money come from? And this was where, I'm always happy to, okay. Sorry. Are you going to do this next slide there? Is it this one? Is it the last one? Oh, okay. Okay. So, the points of departure with ASU. In there, ASU stand when we're now looking at where we source for the money. Because we all agreed that the only way you can hold university to quality performance is if university is able to recover cost. If university is not fully funded to the level of its cost, of course we are taking realistic cost, then there's no way you can hold the university to the quality. So we now ask ourselves, okay, how will this come? And then as we stand, is that education is a public good. That is the philosophical foundation of their own stand. And education being public good means that government must be responsible totally for funding education. That is the stand of ASU. And of course, government can, and then of course, when we say, well, how will government be able to do this? The stand of ASU is that if they stop corruption, if they block all the leakages, government will be able to fund completely. But what is our own stand? Our own government stand is to say that education is both public good and private good. In other words, the beneficiaries also must be ready to contribute. That is a contributory system in which the key stakeholders make contribution. And that was not acceptable, to ASU. Then, another point of diversion, in there. Then ASU stand that government should a minimum of 26% allocation. I need to talk about this briefly. You keep hearing UNESCO specify 26% of national budget for education. I always regard that as intellectual laziness. What has a percentage got to do with the critical thing? Where is the quantum? University must be in position to be able to say the quantum of the money needed. What is 26% of nothing? Of course, it's nothing. So how can 26% now become a policy thing that you'll be pursuing? And the way we see it is that it's the easiest way when one wants to go on strike. What do? The national budget is out. Oh, how much is for education? You calculate it. It's not 26%. Oh yeah, strike. That is intellectual laziness that I can call it. So we say that we should do more than that. Our own stand, government stand in there. Oh, okay, sorry. I said government stand is that universities must prepare needs-based budget. How much do you need? I gave an example of when I was Vice Chancellor of University of Ibadan. They called us to Abuja to interact with some funding agencies. And all we kept saying was universities were underfunded. Unfortunately for me, I was sitting close to one of the staff of the funding agencies. And when they introduced me, VC of University of Ibadan, I said, great. You are the Vice Chancellor of University of Ibadan? I said, yes. He said, how much do you need? And how much are you given? How much do you need? Is that question not fair? It's a fair question. But I couldn't answer it. And I will tell you later why I couldn't answer it. Unfortunately, a VC sitting close said, it's from an old university. It needs a lot of money. Is that the answer? Should that be the answer? Of course not. It's because we are not managing the system. And when you are not managing the system, you don't bother to measure it. That is the problem. So, anyway, we said there must be needs-based budget. And that public university should be, you'll be targeting less dependent on government. Now, let me move quickly. Then, we also said, we are not running performance-based system. This funding stream coming to the university, they do not come with the system of funding or public university is highly unsustainable. Our funding must pay attention to the prepared scholarships in order to take care of indigent, students. So the structure is, I will move very fast. What are universities for? As somebody has said, we have to know the purpose of the university. Why are we the university? Why are we saying that they should invest in us? What should we be doing? And I think a lot of that has already been said. I can move fast, on that. Then challenges facing us in achieving our vision and systemic reform towards achieving the stable. What are universities for? I move. I said, first century, knowledge-based economy. We create the wealth, prosperity, and well-being of nations. Universities are supposed to be the drivers. They produce cutting-edge knowledge, transfer, teaching, and that masses, and then also, most importantly, they create knowledge workers, which is through our teaching, transfer. For these three to hold, we must be globally, connected, is what we are saying. In other words, But to put it properly, I quickly make reference to the statement of a Vice Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor of IBB University, in talking about his university. He said, IBBU is a modern university, okay, outwardly looking. Our research strategy is to be able to, please, gentlemen, if you don't mind, can I come down? Let me come down so that I can see properly. Let me come to your level so that it's not speech from the throne. Okay? So it says our research strategy commits us to addressing national development challenges that, when resolved, will promote economic growth and the well-being of citizenry, which is in line with the challenges of that they talked about. And then university had made national and international impact on research outputs in gas and oil in their area. The key areas of strength of the university. The other areas were renewable energy, fuel, where they have made impact. In other words, what the import of what the VC is saying is the committee of the university to make an impact on its community and beyond through its research, development, and innovation. The appreciation of the fact that no university can do it alone. So IBBU is apparently committed to the following observation, which is very key. And that observation is, by Skiller says, a world economy no longer pays you for what you know. That's it, knowledge. Google knows everything. Google it, is there. That's what he's saying. The world economy pays you for what you can do with what you know. And that makes a big difference. And we should keep this at the back of our mind. And it's what they are saying. Even the governor yesterday, when he was saying that, well, we are not teaching people for solutions and things like that. No. We have to keep that. It makes a difference for even how we do our job of teaching. If it is not just knowledge. Okay? So then the university's concern is useful knowledge. What we are saying in there. People have observed that a university is not supposed to concern itself entirely, even though it must, with the present challenges. University also must be a nation to the future. The future development, as I've said, not only the present, also into the future. They say that a constant innovation cycle that has been witnessed in the past decades shows that technology that will probably drive world economy in some decades to come will probably are still not known. I challenge you. Let's look at GSM. Nobody, we are talking of landlines. Now today, but the technology that drove it, only a few people are aware of it some years back. That's what we are saying. Technology will never be static. And university should be concerned not only with the present, also with the future. We must be part of it. That is what that is saying. Okay? Then, finally, in terms of, this is economic growth-oriented model of a university. We saw that example with the Scottish, with the government, Scottish Funding Council. When in UK, they increased the fees, the tuition fees of students. Scotland took the decision that they will not increase their tuition fees, but government will make additional input, additional funding for their universities. But in doing that, listen to this statement from Mark Bateau, who is the chairman of SFC, Scottish Funding Council. He said that this is a something for something deal. It is an investment by Scottish government. They saw it as investment. And what did they do? Towards ensuring here, I'm also using this to address the issue of access. When we talk of access, I think we always feel there is a question that there is higher demand than supply. But is that the case now? It's no longer the case. From what JAM published during the last conference, which all VCs, probably most VCs were there in Bogon. What's happening here is that Federal University